so where we are. Here's the sutra that we ended with. This is a famous one. This one's included in TTC. Do you remember that? What seems night to others is the state of awakening. In Swami Shivananda's it says, what is night to the world is day to the sage of steady wisdom. So, you remember that from TTC? That's one of the slokas that's covered very specifically, and it seems pretty odd, but here's the way Swami Satchidananda is portraying it. What seems night to others is the state of awakening for one with a mind thus disciplined. So it gives more of the reason for it. And what appears day to others is as night to the sage who knows the self. Who would speak to that for just a moment? What are we hearing?
What's the second part again?
Yeah, let's do that. What seems night to others is the state of awakening for one with a mind thus disciplined. Do we know what thus means? What are we speaking of? We're speaking of disciplining the mind to do what or not to do what? Come on, you guys know this. So,
to be with God,
to be with God, and not to
follow pleasures.
Not to run after the sense objects, yeah. Oh, very good. Okay, so what seems night to others is the state of awakening for one with a mind thus disciplined. And what appears day to others is as night to the sage who knows the self. So what are we hearing?
I had difficulty in the beginning figuring this out, and I could be still wrong, but I look at night as like desire, day is happy, or negative, and light is happy. People are chasing things all day, and what they chase for is not necessary in a disciplined mind. And then when they go to sleep, at first I thought it was just the opposite, but it's because we utilize the nighttime so well for prayer and meditation.
Okay.
They wouldn't understand that.
Okay, I hear you. Not quite getting to the essence of it. Okay. So it's fine. Let's do this, because this is a good one to have a comprehension of. Let's play word association for a moment. Okay. Did you ever play this with the kids? Word association. You say a word and they say a word. So I say the light of, and you say
day.
The light of. Go to the next one. The light of.
My heart.
The light of. When you put light on the subject, what does that mean?
Illumination.
And what does that mean related to what? Does that mean putting a light bulb on it? You put light on something. What does that mean?
It means I understand it. I have knowledge.
The light of wisdom, the light of knowledge. That's what it means. So, it's another meaning for the word light. It's a higher meaning for the word light. What does enlightened mean? What does to be enlightened mean? You see, that's where this meaning is.
To live in the light, to
know yourself.
Yeah,
To know yourself. To know yourself. That's what it means to be enlightened, correct?
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Oh,
To
know yourself. So that's speaking of the light of wisdom.
Correct.
Okay, so now take that concept and apply it back here to this.
Okay.
What seems night to others is as day to the one who is awake.
They're perplexed. We understand.
So, and the other consideration here is night in the world is the time when you sleep, and therefore you're not able to pursue your pleasures. Right? Day is the time when you're out collecting all of the stuff that you want to collect for yourself and avoiding all the stuff that you don't want to collect for yourself. That's the worldly calendar, right?
Worldly calendar.
Yeah? Okay. So it is day to the worldly is what? To the one who has figured it out.
It's not.
Remember the croissant.
Yeah.
Remember the essence of what we're sharing here. We want to be able to get to what are we talking about, and how does this, what does this mean practically speaking? Practically speaking, everything at the end of the day has to be practical. So what have we learned from this discussion so far, practically speaking?
With a disciplined mind.
Disciplined for what?
Disciplined to know the self and to be in equanimity and neutrality.
What does that look like?
It means non-disturbance. It means.
And what's disturbing? You're getting somewhere. And what's disturbing?
Chasing.
What?
The senses, the desires.
The desires, the sense objects. Yeah, chasing. Okay. So you're disciplining the mind in order to not go after the sense objects.
And to catch it right on the spot. If
Okay.
it does come in.
And you remember that we were at a point here over the last couple of days where we get to where it's black and white.
Oh.
Yes?
This will bring pain. This will be neutrality.
Okay. Oh. Here's another beautiful verse that says, in simple words, what is real to an enlightened person seems unreal to an ordinary person. So we were having a conversation yesterday, Uma Devi and I, in the office. And it's accompanied with, most people in the world would tell you this is crazy. Because most people in the world would tell you what we do is crazy.
Oh yeah, they would notice.
You live for the gusto. You go out and taste everything. You experience life. You see what life has to offer. Right?
Yeah.
Life is meant to be lived, and the idea of that is that we go to get everything that we want because the opportunity is here to fulfill our desires and to live our dreams. Yes?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay, so most people in the world would expound this, correct? Would expound this.
Oh, this
Would
is the
say-
way to live.
Yeah, and what is Lord Krishna saying?
That's delusion.
Delusion. Why?
Because we have been born with ignorance. I mean,
Because it doesn't lead to peace of mind, and how can one be happy if there is no peace of mind?
Oh.
So, just an essential teaching there, right? Peace Pilgram would say, everything you do should lead towards peace of mind. Just very simple wisdom.
Mm-hmm.
Why? Why? Because it's the only way to be happy. It's the only way to have happiness. Peace of mind equals happiness. Swami Vishnu, when he came and he started teaching yoga in the West, he had a catch line that he would share, and it was on the building, that center in Montreal, and on the flyers that he would put out, his master's words first: health is wealth, and then peace of mind is happiness.
That's true.
That's the message of Lord Krishna. We heard it in his words. Yes? Is it true?
Oh.
So, how can there be happiness without peace of mind? Those were his words. Really, how can there be? If you're just disturbed and aggravated, then where is the happiness? It's far, far away, right?
Yeah.
It's in a time and a place where I'm not disturbed, and my disturbance will end as soon as you stop disturbing me.
And the higher self can't be out if that's the case.
There's no wisdom. We
Right.
heard that. There's no access to
intellect,
wisdom. Discernment is gone.
Intuition.
Okay.
No access.
Okay. Very good. So, no peace of mind, no happiness.
Oh.
Never forget this. Tattoo it to your eyelids. Is there anything more essential than this? How quickly do we forget it? What did you? Oh, you're just... I thought you were going to add something. Thank you, Amaji. Okay, we continue. Someone with personal desires. So in this vein now, the next sutras, you'll see how they fit. Someone with personal desires will not experience true peace. Does that resonate? Do we understand it? Why? It's the same, right? What is a personal desire?
Because there's a lot to work out in the mind if you have personal desires.
Yeah. And the personal desire will be something that needs to happen to you, that you need to have, that you need to experience in order to be what? Happy. Which is nothing but a disturbance. It doesn't make any difference what it is. If people would just leave me alone so I could meditate. Would be a good example for a yogi.
Yeah, I'm sure. Moderation.
So, and to the point, just related to this yoga, and as we step into Chapter 3 on Karma Yoga, we have this firm idea of what is sadhana. We have such a firm idea. And there is the meditation aspect to it. There absolutely is. And at the end of the day, we can say nothing's more important than meditation. But meditation what? 24 hours a day. So nothing's more important than that, because that peace of mind and happiness are all the same. But the thing is, if I'm going to carry my meditation off the mat, off the cushion, if I'm going to carry it to an eyes open experience, then I'm going to have to take advantage of the opportunities that are given to me to experience everything that's triggering a disturbance, so that I can let that trigger go.
And that comes through knowledge in the Guru.
Comes through knowledge, integration, practice. Integration only happens with practice. So otherwise it's just intellectual knowledge or intuitive knowledge, and it remains so.
But it has to be first learned, because I knew nothing.
Has to be learned
I had to learn things so
through discernment.
into perspective.
Through discernment,
And discernment.
and then has to be lived.
And it's like I learned a whole way to look.
Okay, someone with personal desires will not experience true peace. But when all desires merge, like different rivers flowing into the vast, deep ocean, then peace is easily realized. Peace is experienced by anyone who lives without longing for anything, free of all personal desires, and with no individual sense of me and mine.
So there could be like a universal desire for everyone to be happy, and that I may contribute to everyone being happy, but that's not really...
Well, yeah, indeed. Although you can't make everyone to be happy. So the Lord will say, better to just desire to serve me or to know me.
Yes.
Or to be with me. But then I'm everywhere.
So that desire must be like a precursor to that higher state.
Yeah, we don't have to make it up. What he says, we don't have to make it up. He gives us 3 lines, and it's very helpful to keep them. Think only of me.
Yes.
Devote yourself completely to me. Offer all the fruit to me.
Yes.
So it's really the highest teaching of yoga. So it's the only sutra, it's the only shloka that he speaks twice in the Bhagavad Gita. There's only one that he speaks twice. Nothing else is. Everything else he'll say the same thing in different ways, but this one he says twice. The only
I
one.
just realized it says, think only of me.
Think only of me.
Yeah.
It's not saying think of me all the time.
Think only of me.
So that means only, so excluding all the other thoughts.
No. Well, it means point every thought towards me.
Very good.
Point every thought towards me. So when you look at that picture, think of Krishna. That's Krishna.
Oh.
When you look here, think of Krishna. This is Krishna.
The plants.
Right? When you look there, think of Krishna. That's Krishna.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's the prescription to save us from ourselves. Okay. This Arjuna is the absolute state. On experiencing it, there are no further questions. If established in this awareness at the time of bodily death, there is just the merging into the oneness of God. Do we understand? So he's saying highest state. So he's given us once again the highest teaching. But not in a practice. He's described an intent or a goal or an aspiration, which is someone with personal desires will not experience peace. Peace is experienced by anyone who lives without longing for anything. Free of all personal desires and with no individual sense of me and mine. Doesn't mean that you're not doing. It's speaking to an inner state. Right? And then he describes that. This Arjuna is the absolute state. So he says this is the highest state. On experiencing it, there are no further questions. Upon experiencing it, of course there are questions until experiencing it. So don't stop them too early. And try to make it practical. Try to understand what's being shared from a practical level. Shravana, listening. So manana, contemplating. Nididhyasana, living it. So if we have this interest that brings us here, then we really want to be able to understand it as best we can based upon how our instruments are at this point. So we want to be able to listen well, to understand the language that's being used, and to be able to visualize it and contemplate it. So he's sharing an inner state where there is no desire for anything for me as an individual. So full acceptance of whatever is here in front of us. That's what he's describing. Right? Okay. And you can look at all these things that will arise about, yes, but I can't accept this and I can't accept that. But then the sages will tell us, well, but what you're refusing to accept is only being given to you by Krishna. Would you read those again, please, Kartika? Just to get into a sage's head again for a moment.
So it says, practical wisdom. See nothing, look at nothing but your goal, ever shining before you. The things that happen to us, do not matter. What we become through them does. Each day, accept everything as coming from God.
Read that one more time.
Or Krishna, right? Each day, everything
Same.
is coming from God.
Each day, see everything as coming from God.
Or Krishna, right?
It's the same.
I thought Krishna was higher.
It's the same.
At night,
Don't get caught up in that. It's the same.
It's the truth.
At night, give everything back into his hands. Jnana Mata.
Okay, thank you, dear.
Is that how you pronounce his name? Jnana.
Her name, Jnana Mata. Mata is mother.
Oh, her.
Mother.
Jnana
So,
Mata.
Jnana Mata.
Oh.
So I'm sure it's hard to imagine a state like that. But it's worth trying. It's worth visualizing it in yourself.
Yes.
It's worth contemplating it. It's worth considering what comes from it.
Taking it as truth, even if you don't believe it, just believe it, if you know what I mean, until you know it.
We say allow for it to be true.
Yeah. Yes.
If you can't believe that it is, allow for it to be true.
Yeah.
Just allow for it and see where that takes you.
Oh.
Allow for it. Allow for it.
So it reminds me of that little girl prodigy who came into the world and just immediately started painting these beautiful paintings of like Jesus and all these like nature scene, just beautiful paintings. So it's kind of like that, I guess.
Except here we're talking about an inner state, not something objective, not something outside.
Yeah, but if you're gonna
What's being pointed at is an inner state where there's not a personal desire.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And if there's not a personal desire, then what of disappointment?
Doesn't happen.
What of anger? What of judgment?
Big one.
What of fear?
No fear.
So all of these things that we consider to be the bane of our existence and somebody else who's caused us to enter those states, then they don't exist, correct?
But if we didn't have the desires, we wouldn't have any of those like musicians and stuff like that.
Well, that's that, again, objective conclusion that the mind will go to. And if you examine that, you'll see that it's wrong.
Right.
Because in your natural state, you offer yourself. Every single sage lives as an offering for us.
No matter what you do, you just offer.
Every single one. And they don't have to think about it. They don't have to think about it. They don't have to weigh the two possibilities. I could serve or I could not serve. And let me see how that plays out. Which one will be better for me?
Yeah.
That's one will be better for me.
What will come to me and how will my life be if I serve? And how will it be if I refuse to serve and I refuse to get out of bed? So all of that stuff is gone. They've transcended it. And what's the end result? The end result is they live to serve. So that shows you of the nature of Krishna or the nature of the highest. It's consistent, every single one. Not just selfless in a separated way, but selfless in a way of union, in a way of love. Yeah? So, and this is what Krishna is sharing also. But of course, he's guiding us to act selflessly in order for it to become natural.
Practice. Abhyasa.
Thus, this Arjuna is the absolute state. So this is the highest state. He's describing samadhi, what we call samadhi. Upon experiencing it, there are no further questions. Does that make sense? Yeah. Because what do I need to know at this point? I know what I need to know. Because I've unlocked the gate to wisdom, to the intuitive self. That's open now. So whatever is needed to be known is known. One of the things that is known is you might ask a question. Can you tell me how to get to... No further questions, so. If established in this awareness at the time of bodily death, there's just the merging into the oneness of God. So, Mahasamadhi. Swamiji. I can assure that Swamiji was in this place. So, then, at the time of bodily death, merger, Mahasamadhi.
And that's the goal.
No more birds.
No more birds, yeah.
Oh. Okay, a little bit on chapter 3 and then we'll close. Just the question and then we'll come back to the question tomorrow. So in chapter 2, Lord Krishna has really painted a complete picture of yoga. He's touching on what this steady wisdom looks like, both inside and outside. So he's described an inner state here in these last few slokas, right? and outside as well. He's described, and he's provided the essential teaching to us about where is the happiness that we seek and how to attain to the happiness that we seek. Right? Essential, that's the big question, isn't it? Isn't that the question everybody has, is how to be happy?
That's what they're chasing. What we're all chasing.
Right? It's just that we find ourselves with ideas that answer that. But our ideas, we learn, are limited and incorrect.
The mind is very bad.
Because they have to do with impossible circumstances.
Because then there needs to be a better one.
As soon as you put other or if only into your formula for happiness, then happiness is lost.
Out there, it's not going to come.
Right? If happiness is the responsibility of someone else, then you're a victim. And you just remain a victim until you choose not to be a victim.
You see God in it.
Yes? And the way to choose not to be a victim is to recognize that it's in your own control, in your own power, and that it's within yourself, that Krishna is inside. Yeah. And then we listen, Travana, we listen. Okay, so Arjuna asked this, because this second chapter is Sankhya Yoga, wisdom, knowledge. So Arjuna is still a bit perplexed coming out of this, which is not surprising. And if you look at your own self, you might find that you're hearing it, but then look and see if you're living it. Right? So it's hard to say that I know it. We can say it, I know. Everybody says, I know this, I know that. But we don't really know, only if we live it do we know. Right? Oh. But we're in a stage, in a process of coming to know. We're all involved in a process of waking up to what is. All right, so Arjuna says, first shloka of Karma Yoga, the third chapter, since you teach that the path of wisdom is better than the path of action, Krishna, why are you encouraging me to do this terrible act? I am confused by what seems to be a contradiction. Please tell me a sure way to attain to the highest. So Arjuna has heard the description of the highest.
Yes.
The last three shlokas. He's heard that. So he's saying, but I'm confused as to how to attain to it.
Yeah.
Right? And you're telling me that wisdom, knowledge of self, knowledge of you and me, is higher than action, acting for myself. Then I'm confused by this apparent contradiction. Please tell me a sure way to attain to the highest. So that's the question he's asking. Please tell me what to do so that for sure I will attain to the highest. And the Blessed Lord said, Arjuna, in the beginning I gave the world a twofold path, the way of discerning wisdom, or jnana yoga, and the way of selfless action, or karma yoga. So in the beginning I gave the world two ways to come to me, to attain the highest. The path of discernment of truth, jnana yoga,
To be able to.
and the path of selfless action. Okay, so we'll come back to that tomorrow morning. The path of selfless action, here's where we begin. Anything else? Any other comments, questions, observations? Oh, no, you were doing that. I got it.
Yeah, that's the fake one.
Kalyani, does it have any practical meaning as we sit here and talk about it today? Do you hear something from it that you feel you could take action from? or on in your day-to-day life?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Absolutely. I'm always, if only the kids wouldn't fight all day long, I could be happy. So I've really practiced. I've been practicing. Okay, they're fighting.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't have to.
Oh, God bless you. Thank you. Okay. Yes, that's yoga. Yes, that is yoga practice.
It doesn't move me as much as it used to. There's still time.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of times where I can just be calm in that.
You still have to observe them, of course.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. So it doesn't mean you don't do your duty, but it means you allow yourself to accept the situation as you're on watch. And of course, if something happens that you have to step in the middle of, you're ready to do it. Yeah. Oh, very good. Yeah, that's yoga. It's motherhood yoga. This is the inspiration behind the motherhood yoga here. Well, whatever situation we're given, this becomes clear. Whatever situation we're given relates to our path of yoga.
Oh.
You don't have to run away from your responsibilities in order to practice yoga. Oh. Okay, let's close with final prayer now. Page 174. Om Trayambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushtivardhanam Orvai Rukameva Bandhanan Mritor Mokshiyamamritata Om Trayambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushtivardhanam Orvai Rukameva Bandhanan Mritor Mokshiyamamritata Om Trayambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushtivardhanam Orvai Rukameva Bandhanan Mritor Mokshiyamamritata Om Sarvesham Swastir Bhavatu Sarvesham Shantir Bhavatu Sarvesham Purnam Bhavatu Sarvesham Mangalam Bhavatu Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinaha Sarve Shantu Niramaya Sarve Bhadrani Pashanto Makashit Dukhabhakare Asato Ma Satgamaya Tamaso Ma Jyotir Gamaya Mrityor Ma Mritam Gamaya Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. O adorable Lord of mercy and love, salutations and prostrations unto thee. Thou art omnipresent, omnipotent, and omniscient. Thou art Satchidananda. Thou art existence, knowledge, and bliss absolute. Thou art the indweller of all beings. Grant us an understanding heart, equal vision, balanced mind, faith, devotion, and wisdom. Grant us inner spiritual strength to resist temptation and to control the mind. Free us from egoism, lust, anger, greed, hatred, and jealousy. Fill our hearts with divine virtues. Let us behold thee in all these names and forms. Let us serve thee in all these names and forms. Let us ever remember thee. Let us ever sing thy glories. Let thy name be ever on our lips. Let us abide in thee forever and ever. Humbler Satguru Shivananda Maharaj ki Jai. Humbler Satguru Saraswati Mani ki Jai. Okay, let's stand for arati. Page 210.